Well, good morning everyone. It's great to be at what will be the Cross River Rail station here at Woolloongabba. Pleased to be here with the Minister for Transport and Mark Bailey, Minister for Transport and Main Roads, who's oversighting this project, delivering it for Queensland. And we've got Graham Newton too, who's the CEO of the Cross River Rail Authority. In a couple of days' time, in just 2 days' time, I'll deliver the 2022-2023 state budget. It'll be a budget that'll deliver more jobs. It'll be a budget that will deliver better services, and it'll be a budget that will help protect and enhance our fantastic Queensland lifestyle. We're on the runway now, the maroon runway to the Olympics, a 20-year program, 10 years into the Games and then a decade out of those Games, creating more jobs for Queenslanders, particularly more jobs in more industries, supporting our traditional industries, but also supporting new industries for the future. Those jobs are going to be so important to our economy, which is why our budget is so fairly focused, fairly and squarely on creating more jobs for Queenslanders. But as we build a stronger economy, we need to ensure that people can get around our community, get to and from work, get to and from school, and get to and from social events faster than ever before. That's why in this budget we'll be investing $3.5 billion. That's why in this budget we'll be investing $3.5 billion into enhancing and improving Queensland's rail network. That will include $924 million, which will be committed and invested in the Gold Coast Light Rail Stage 3. $876 million to the duplication of the rail line between Currabee and Beenleigh. $489 million towards the Nambour-Beerburrum rail upgrade, and $107 million to build 3 new railway stations on the Gold Coast. Overall, these investments will create more than 5,000 jobs for Queenslanders over the life of the projects. And that's why capital investment in our infrastructure is so important. It creates a better lifestyle, it strengthens our economy, but very importantly, it creates jobs. So we're transforming our rail network as we transform transport and transform our state. Also today, a very important milestone that we are celebrating. We're celebrating that the first rail tracks have now been laid for Cross River Rail. They've been laid at the Albert Street station, 50 metres of rail already on the track. That's been laid at the Albert Street station going south towards where we are here today at the Gabba. Such an important milestone. We are now putting rail tracks into the 5.9 kilometre twin tunnels, and that's so important for this project to proceed. I also want to recognise that our rail investment is not just for the southeast. Our rail investment is for all of Queensland, and in particular it will support manufacturing jobs in regional parts of the state, particularly Maryborough and Rockhampton. So these projects are all about creating good, full-time, quality, high-paid jobs. That's what our government's committed to. It's what we'll be investing in our budget on Tuesday, and I'll say a little bit more about our infrastructure investment on Tuesday, but this is about creating jobs for Queenslanders wherever they live. I might hand over to Mark to say a few words, and then we're happy to take some questions.
Thanks very much, Treasurer. This budget has got a rail revolution for Queensland with $3.5 billion going into a lot of different rail projects like the light rail on the Gold Coast, Currabee to Beenleigh rail upgrade, Sunshine Rail duplication, and 3 new stations on the Gold Coast as part of Cross River Rail at Pimpama, Wurundjeri and Hope Island. These investments are directly related to us addressing growth in Queensland. We saw Queensland's very strong stewardship of the health pandemic that saved jobs and saved lives. And what that's meant is there's confidence coming into our state. We've got a lot of population growth coming across the border, so we've got to deal with that with infrastructure and investments in public transport. And this rail revolution will be a really important part of moving people about more efficiently and more effectively. In this budget as well, there's investments in the European train control system. This is a really important thing, not just for Cross River Rail in the tunnels, but for the whole system across southeast Queensland, because it allows us to run more trains more closely together and much more safely with the latest technology. It is a really important investment in a better rail system, one that previous governments shirked, but we won't, and we're investing in it to make sure that people are safer and they can travel faster and better on our rail system. Right around where I'm standing right now is where trains will arrive every 3 minutes after a game at the Gabba, clearing 900 people at a time. Can you imagine how better that is getting out of a Gabba game than the current schmozzle at the moment, where you can throw as many buses at it as you like, but it's very difficult to get away from the Gabba. This station will not only be fantastic to get away from a game at the Gabba when it's open, but it'll be essential to moving people about for the Olympic and Paralympic Games in 2032, because it is right on the doorstep of the world-famous Gabba ground. Another feature that's in this budget is funding for the automatic train control. This is the system that allows us to run automatic doors on platforms so that people are physically unable to fall on the tracks. This is the latest technology that you see in new rail tunnels around the world, and this is state-of-the-art underground rail technology. Great to see that in the budget as well. So this budget, great for rail, great for the economy, and great for public transport across southeast Queensland. Treasure.
Thanks, mate. Happy to take questions on that or anything else. Well, we've got a massive investment in rail. There's been no government in Queensland that has done more to invest in railways in this state since perhaps the 19th century. So we have a record investment in rail, not only for these projects, but these are ongoing projects. It's not just the infrastructure, it's the building of the trains. We brought that back to Queensland. The previous LNP government offshored all those manufacturing jobs to other parts of the world. We brought manufacturing jobs home to Queensland. And it's not just building the trains, it's sustaining them, it's maintaining them, it's making sure they stay operating to the highest possible standard. And so this is a multiple decade-long investment across the rail system in Queensland. But of course, there'll be more rail announcements as we go along. These projects will continue in the future, and we'll say more about that on Tuesday.
$50 billion infrastructure guarantee, are you going to up that significantly on Tuesday?
We'll be delivering on our $50 billion infrastructure guarantee over 4 years, and I'll lay out what that program looks like when I deliver the budget on Tuesday. Yeah, we're very happy to look at the Auditor General's report and take whatever actions necessary. I'm happy to look at that, but I don't have an answer for you today. What else? Josh? Yeah, we're obviously investing in roads too, and I think Mark will have a bit more to say on that in the budget on Tuesday, unless you want to add anything now. We'll have a big roads project and rail investment on Tuesday. Stand by. Not at all. And Peter Beattie's entitled to his views.
What is the government's vision? Can you articulate that?
You know very clearly, Jack, what this government's doing.
No, but what is the vision?
You know very clearly what our government's doing. Any other questions?
Yeah, the Triple C's concerns about lobbyists. Do you think there should be any changes to the way that lobbyists speak to government at the moment?
Well, we'll look at what the Triple C comes up with. Consistent with our views, the integrity institutions in Queensland are doing their job. That's what we've said all along. We support them, we fund them, and we'll look at what the Triple C has to do, and we'll also have a look at what Peter Coldrake has to say, and whatever recommendations they make, we'll consider those very carefully.
Do you think the current status of lobbyists is okay the way as it stands?
Well, we'll look at what those reports say, but don't forget this. We have the most transparent reporting of lobbying activity in the country. That was an initiative of a Labor government. We put that in place to ensure that people had the highest level of understanding and transparency of what happens. No other state does that. As I've said previously, We have no idea what sort of lobbying activity occurred in Canberra under the Morrison LNP government because they didn't have that level of transparency. So we're very happy, as the Premier said consistently, to look at what those reports come up with, and then we'll consider those recommendations very carefully. Well, I don't think that it is. I mean, lobbyists do lobbying work. There are former Labor members who do lobbying. There are people like Santo Santoro, Larry Anthony, a former federal president of the National Party, former federal national member of Parliament. All of those people are involved in lobbying in Queensland, and they're entitled to. So, no, I don't believe so. Don't believe so.
What do you think the public expects when it comes to lobbyists and the way that they speak and lobby government?
Well, they expect transparency, which is why we report on contact.
So you don't accept the government gives a disproportionate amount of access to a select group of lobbyists?
No, I don't. Anything else? Beg your pardon? Yes, absolutely, 100%. I'm delivering my third budget on Tuesday, let me say this, and I look forward to delivering at least another 6. Yeah.
Interest rates rising. How on earth are you going to fund everything when the costs are going up like that? In the States, some utilities are tripling their costs.
Yeah, we've of course had an outstanding economic response to COVID-19 precisely because of our strong health response. We had one of the best health response to COVID in the world, and what did we see just in the month of May? Queensland created 3/4 of all jobs created in the country in 1 month. We are the big jobs generator of this country, and that's consistently been the case throughout the pandemic. In fact, Queensland has created as many jobs as New South Wales and Victoria combined. So our economic activity is leading the country, and Queenslanders should be really proud of that. Why? Because it allows us to invest in projects like this. It allows us to set a pathway, the golden decade into the Olympics and then the decade beyond. We are absolutely in the right place as a state, and the budget on Tuesday will demonstrate how we can drive forward our state, creating jobs, more jobs, better services, and protecting and enhancing our Queensland lifestyle. That's exactly what we'll deliver in our budget on Tuesday.
Last question to hand down.
Yeah, Jack?
Sorry, just quickly on home births. Are you expecting to provide any funding for home births?
Look, I'll have to leave that to the Health Minister, I'm sorry, Josh. I just read that article this morning. So
So you said you look forward to handing down another 6 more budgets.
At least.
Would
At
you
least
ever
6
like
budgets.
Would you ever like to be the Premier one day?
I'm looking forward to delivering 6 budgets, Jack, at least, all the way through the next term and beyond, because what we need to do is stop the LNP. I've heard the nonsense they've been going on about the health system. I mean, Ros Bates, you cannot believe, I mean, the woman's got more front than David Jones, standing up, member of an organisation. She is proud to be the member of an organisation that has consistently expressed anti-vaccination views. Imagine if that had been the case during the pandemic. Imagine if we had let those anti-vaccination views take control of the health system. Because let's face it, Ros Bates is the alternative health minister. Not only would have she been in charge of the health system, being proudly a member of an organisation that has consistently expressed anti-vaccination views, she's also been a shadow minister. When she was the shadow health minister, along with the Leader of the Opposition and all the members of the LNP, they sat down, they put their costings and their commitments to the people of Queensland at the last election, and there would have been thousands less health workers in the health system this parliamentary term. That was their commitment, to reduce the number of health workers in this state compared to the commitment of the Labor government. Imagine trying to run a health system during a pandemic and then a recovery without thousands of frontline nurses. It's absolutely scandalous, and so everything that our government does is about supporting jobs, economic activity, better services and strengthening the Queensland lifestyle and stopping the LNP and their mad ideological obsession with cutting. Thanks very much, everyone. That's great. Zero interest, Jack, zero interest. That's your answer. Zero interest in being the Premier. That's your answer. Zero interest in being the Premier. That's your answer.
As a road going on, when can we expect the trains to be on the track in the tunnel? Wait, I can ask you a question. And how many budgets on Cross River Rail have blown out so far?
Okay, so here we are at Woolloongabba. The tunnel work was done last year. We pushed through and did the under the river last year. Now we're seeing the rail installed. We've seen the first 50 metres go in. They'll be installing approximately 50 to 100 metres per day of rail over the next 12 months or so. So that will allow us to set up for the mechanical and electrical work to follow through after that. And then we'll be moving to station fit-outs, and the aim is to have the majority of the construction work completed by the end of 2024, and then we go into a testing and commissioning phase which will take us through into 2025.
Yeah, sure. So this Cross River Rail tunnels will have automatic train control. So this is technology that when you're on the platform, there are screen doors that stop you from being able to go on the tracks in any shape or form. The train comes in, stops precisely every single time in exactly the same spot. The train doors and then the doors that are on the platform open together, and there you get on and off the train. So the old rail system that you'll see around the world, and there's no barrier between the tracks and the platform. When we put in these new stations underground, like this one, they'll have automatic train control, and so there's investment in this budget in that technology to make sure that we've got the best and safest technology as part of these 4 new underground stations as part of Cross River Rail.
Would that be like a central station as well? Are you going to roll it out other places, or is it primarily the Cross River Rail?
Yeah, look, we'll be looking at other opportunities as well. There's not very much that's underground in Brisbane. There's 1 or 2, this technology, because we're going to see very large volumes in particular on this new underground line. We want the safest technology, and this budget delivers that. It'll be obviously part of the works going forward over the next couple of years before we open in 2025. Oh, look, that's a matter for Peter.
Does the left support the Premier remaining at the job until the 2024 election?
Absolutely, of course.
Thank you all.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for organising that. Everybody